three. First item on our agenda. Well, before that, let me have the board introduce themselves.
Fred Leader.
Marion Knott.
Ned Phillip. Thank you all for coming. Item, Town of New Shoreham, Plat 8, Lot 218, High Street, advisory to the planning board. Application for development plan review for construction renovation of the Thomas property across the street from the school. Zoning ordinance 513 and accessory dwelling units. And we have Mr. Rissom.
Now. Tell me when you're set. Or set. So before you, I was before you a couple weeks ago on a different project that was Mansion Beach. This is the Thomas property. I'm going to assume some familiarity that you all know where it is and what it is. I'm going to assume you know that it has a special zoning use for town employee dwellings. There's allowed 4 accessory dwelling units on the property that are subordinate to the principal use, which is the town manager's house. Okay. She is. No, so the Thomas house is the little ranch across from the school. She's in the building in back to the right. And then there's the garage. You should have a site plan that I see on John's table here. It looks like this. So everything is everything's to remain. So just a quick summary overview. The manager's house will remain. The Thomas house we're proposing replacing just the house on the existing foundation to go from a one bedroom and 1 2-bedroom apartment to 2 2-bedroom apartments. And then the garage will stay to the north, and behind that will come in a single-story ranch with 1 1-bedroom and 1 2-bedroom apartment. And that mix of 1s and 2s is based on the kind of people that we're trying to attract and are attracting for year-round employment. These are not seasonal dwellings, these are year-round dwellings. And most everybody wants 2 bedrooms, if not for 2 or 3, more than a couple, just to store their stuff in. So we're sort of getting away from the 1-bedroom unit, but we wanted 1 just to have it. And it would be less expensive. And these, I don't have to talk about how these are afforded, but it's usually as a part of compensation is the housing. So the Thomas house, which is the one in the center, will be 5 feet taller, but no bigger. And there's 2 versions of it based on what happens at zoning, one with a porch, covered porch, and one with an uncovered porch, because it's in the setback from, it was put there before there was setbacks. But we have to get a variance to expand the nonconformity by raising it 5 feet. And if they're itchy about that, then we won't put the porch roof on. So that's an option coming up. And then the building behind the garage is all new. And you'll see on your site plan there that we have erosion and sedimentation control around that. There's a little gravel driveway that comes in around the garage off the existing road cut. So there's no additional road cut. We're using town water, town sewer, which is already in. And we'll just tee off that where it comes off the curb. And all the things that I think you might be interested in, such as exterior lighting and all that, are minimized or excluded entirely because it's right next to Mike Shea's house and the Frank DiBiase's units down there to the north. It's as far away from the wetland buffer as we could get. So I don't believe that's an issue. And that's down on that property that's Ambrose Swamp. And I think it's a pretty simple project. Both the houses, we minimized everything we could do. The height, the roof slope is the minimum for zoning, which is 812. And pretty simple shingle structure. The plan is, if we get all our approvals, is to build, start building immediately after the season. And there's a significant cost impact to doing both buildings at once, positive impact. So rather doing one last year and one this year, we're gonna hopefully get the funding in the, if we all move forward, of course, through the town, the rest of the funding through the financial town meeting, and then proceed as soon as the seasonal people are out of there.
Let's see. Fred, like my comment, anybody have a comment on this?
No, actually, well, briefly, I think it looks fine to me. I don't really see, anything that really falls under our, provenance, purview. So then, maybe, that you might have some suggestions regarding landscaping or not. But I think it's great.
Thank you.
You're going up 5 feet, you're not getting the second story.
Only in the center. So if, I have the plans, if you'd like them, you might too. So the upstairs is a 1-bedroom and, a 1-bedroom and 1 bath, in the center of the building with a knee wall at about the 1/3. So it's only ceiling height in the center.
On the new Thomas buildings or the one, the brand new?
The replacement building.
Okay.
So
The,
there are 3 apartments then, or just? 2?
no, one of the 2 bedrooms is up.
I see,
is upstairs.
Okay.
Right.
So is the second house, the new house, is that such smaller than the original house? The Thomas house that's there?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's 1 story.
Okay.
So my question was on this one. This little section,
That's the replacement house.
right? Yeah,
I think so, yes.
yeah. Any,
That's the version with the covered porch.
I like that. Is there any way you could put a dormer on the back facing east so that would open up the lighting and create a little more space and maybe?
Yes, but it would increase the nonconformity,
I
which we are hesitant to do.
Right.
We want to minimize the increase of the volume, which is that's something that has to be maintained in a legal nonconforming structure. So we're minimizing the variance then.
Okay.
You know, once you pop that balloon, there's no unpopping it,
Right,
but
right.
we're
That's
trying
a
to
good
do it
idea.
as little as
Right.
possible. I don't disagree at all that would be great, looking into the sunrise and it'd be
Yeah.
beautiful.
You wouldn't need a lot of electricity to light the building inside.
Correct.
I have no problem with it. I really like it. The only thing I was wondering, there's not much vegetation there that you're gonna be taking away. It's basically
None.
nothing, but
It's all grass. Yeah.
I would say if you do take any of the trees away, that you do replace them with native trees. I think
But we don't plan
pear
to,
trees or apple trees.
we don't, I think there's an apple behind the garage,
Right,
but that you'll see on the site plan, the road comes around that. So
Yeah.
we don't plan to
Right.
remove any vegetation.
and if you can afford any more trees on the property, I would certainly love to see that happening. For obvious reasons. If you have the money, put a few maple trees or native trees in there, rather than leaving it come there the way it is right now.
You know, we had Glenn Hall come in this fall and trim the trees and thin the underbrush. What a difference that made.
Yeah,
They all
yeah.
came back so healthy.
No, it looks great. So, Fred, you want to make a,
Yeah, I move we send a favorable recommendation to the, zoning board, zoning and planning board.
okay, I'll second that motion. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very well. Thanks for coming.
All right.
One down.
People here for the Rose Farm?
Joe, please speak of the Rose Farm Inn and
Okay.
Judy Rose. Judy sends her apologies. It's hard for her to get to the island these days.
All right. Can you give me 1 moment so I can pull out that site
And I,
plan?
and I've got some,
Okay.
things marked up on my top to see it.
All right. Oh, thanks.
Much better. Thanks, Joe. Yes, could read that without my spectacles.
What the proposal is to combine the hotel, the Rose Farm Inn, the 2 buildings that make the Rose Farm Inn, and the barn in the back where there was the bicycle shop and a lot of the infrastructure for the Rose Farm into a single lot. We're going to require a zone change to do that. The planning board has recommended the zone change. We're going to create 2 additional house lots using part of the large lot 261 and reconfiguring lot 257 and 262 on the left. You'll see that there's an interior stone wall on the new proposed lot 262, and our proposal is to move that stone wall to the boundary of the newly created lot, so that it becomes a boundary lot to the right between the inn property and on the south, south between the larger lot, which we call the well lot, because the proposed lot 261 currently is the home of the well for the inn, and it's a public well, and it has to be maintained open. And will be maintained open as long as, until the inn connects to the town water line, and the family has an application in and they're pending because there's not sufficient capacity. The only other thing that the new proposed lot, which is called Lot A here next to Judy's house on the southeast, will continue to be served only by the road right of way that runs out to Spring Street, because we don't want to create a highway that runs through the entire property. So essentially, all the lots but that will be served by the existing road past the Atlantic Inn, but it will stop at the northerly ends of proposed lot 98 and lot 61, and you won't be able to get through there to lot A. It's not on this map, but it's the planning board said, put it on it. It's on the next map. Yeah.
Lot A is coming, accessed by Spring Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're proposing absolutely no change in the existing landscape, and we're gonna argue with the planning board that we get to minimize, do as little to change the existing roads as we possibly can, as they can possibly require. We think they're pretty well, they're well established. We will have to do the new road to get to the new lot 262 that runs east from the ends and then runs south, because we have to provide access to lot 262, but other than that, we don't propose creating any roads or doing anything with the landscape.
And it's all proposed gravel drives, not hard top.
Same road structures that's there now, yes.
Right.
Yeah, the only hard top being what's already paved that runs by the Atlantic Inn.
Are you applying for a sewer easement, a public sewer to run the sewer pipes back to the sewer plant, or
They
just
do-
water?
They do not have it now. They're negotiating, if you look to the northeast, there's a 12-foot utility easement, which they hope one day to use for water and sewer. So we would then run that along the southerly boundary line of the new lot 257 to get to the end. There are 2 wells, John. On the southern part of the property, there's the existing well that serves the inn. That also serves Judy's house by running through what's called the barn, where there's a well house inside the barn. That is a public well. There's another well that's shown right next to the barn, which is a private well, but right now is not being used. It's sort of a reserve well. However, it can't really be a reserve well for the inn. It would become a reserve well for lot A and lot 98, because where it's located, it could never satisfy the public well criteria, which it would have to be to serve the inn. So the inn is going to be served by the public well until and unless they get connected to the town water supply. That's a sort of a stone, that's stone, isn't it, Jim? The wedding site? It's where she has the weddings. No, the only water on that is if you go further down on that, you see the well, which is, and the well easement to serve for the well. It's basically in the southeast part of the, just south of the wetland. There's a pond on lot 98, and we're not doing any changes around that. And any house on proposed lot A would be well outside the wetland and the perimeter wetland. And again, you'll see that we have 50-foot wetlands and 100-foot riverbanks around that stream, and those are being maintained, and those will not be touched. Every time I go up there, I'm surprised at just how beautiful that place is. It really is. Yeah. And basically, this is Judy's estate plan, trying to get things for her kids.
I'm good. I'm fine. Second. Aye.
Thank you very much.
We in our little staples, but that was easy.
Get a microphone.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
You want to call?
Yes, Tom?
Yeah. Now you want to turn it off. I think you should stand over to the boom mic.
I could do that.
Yeah, that's, yeah, megaphone works. All right, that's good. Good work, boys and girls. I mean.
So is that old? Is that something different?
But,
The one that you're holding right there. What we just went on?
that was for the.
Oh, that's the wall.
Thomas.
Thomas, okay.
Hey, Cindy, give us 1 minute, okay? Well, we're dumping our papers. There we go. Okay. Well, now we have the Buck Island Housing Board, City Pappas, Plat 18 Lot 2-3, West Side Road, advisory to the Zoning Board of Review. For the application for a special use permit under section 405, affordable housing for construction of eight duplex structures, creating a total of 16 rental units, restricted to year-round residents. Cindy, hello?
Hello, thank you for hearing us today. The plans are before you. The most important thing right now to understand is that we are pending an application from Rhode Island Housing for the funding of this project. So we hope to hear next month that we have been a successful applicant, in which case we will be moving forward with all due diligence. So the property, you may be aware, it borders the cemetery, and it borders the current East Earls Ball housing development. It's located across the street from the town park. We've got 2 acres of land there. It's high, it's dry, it has no wetlands, it has no wetland vegetation, nothing to give any pause in terms of wetlands or water on the property. Our engineers have submitted a permit application to the state of Rhode Island. The RIPDES permit, stormwater approval permit, that was granted. So the engineered plans that are before you were acceptable to the state. We are expecting to put 8 buildings, 2 units in each building. Each of the apartments would have 2 bedrooms. We are not anticipating any pavement. It would all be gravel driveways. No impermeable surfaces are anticipated. We have our budget constraints. We have our wishes and dreams. And once this project gets going, we hope to make it as green as our budget will allow in terms of the choices of our materials, building materials, and the mechanical and sheathing on the buildings. So we will try to be as green as we possibly can.
I have a
Any
question.
questions?
So, on this area, would that be it's not labeled, that's a retention pond?
Yeah.
Okay,
That is
yeah, it's for the runoff.
that's the engineer's plan for stormwater retention. So that would be dealing with the excess water that's from the rooftops of the buildings. And so there would be a retention pond there.
Right, so the one that's at, the Ball O'Brien is like a big lake.
Yep.
And it has a fence around it.
Yep.
It's necessary. I don't see it. You will have a fence around this.
Yeah, we have not, I knew you would ask me about landscaping questions. And we really have not put our attention to landscaping. Again, figuring we need to get a little further down the road. But yes, I believe a fence is going to be necessary. And
Well, yeah,
that would be part of our
seems like
plan.
code you'd have to do it. And maybe you could suggest putting a screening of native plants around it,
Yep.
so it's not so apparent as, let's say, the Ball O'Brien, it's
Mhm.
kind of obnoxious looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then on the site plan proposed and existing, I noticed a lot of trees are sort of, they're there on the proposed and they're more on the existing. So my suggestion would be, part of for a favorable advisory is that any trees that you are taking out, that they're replaced with like kind 2-inch caliper trees, and protecting the trees, because when they put the Ball O'Brien, they took out sort of a very historic specimen elm tree that was maybe 2-foot diameter, and by improper maintenance and procedure, it died. So
yeah.
and they stripped all the trees at Ball O'Brien, which was totally against all our wishes. So that's,
There's a, if you recall, there's kind of where the cemetery driveway goes up.
Mhm.
There's a line of trees
Yeah.
along that stone wall. Nothing happening there. There is a very large, pretty tree that would be the northwest corner, kind of,
Mhm.
and that will be
Preserved.
left alone as well.
So, but
Other than that, there's not too many
Not
other
much, yeah.
tree, it's mostly brushy
Okay.
stuff. And there is a stone wall that runs through the property. We've been talking with Mike Shea. That stone wall will probably preserve those stones and create a stone wall between our rear boundary and the cemetery,
Oh, that's a good.
which I
idea.
think would be a nice addition as well.
Very nice. And I love the architect, Barbara Bester.
Barbara, and you know,
Lovely design.
let's give a shout out to Barbara because
Yeah.
this has been pro bono.
I know that, and
Which
she's
is
great.
very, very
And
generous.
I've seen examples of her stuff in California, and so.
Yeah.
It's contemporary, but it's also vernacular. So we're
Yeah.
using the vernacular materials, but with a sort of a more contemporary, more exciting design.
And she really
neat.
put a lot of effort into the placement of the buildings.
Yes.
A, to be able to maximize our southern exposure for solar panels,
Mhm.
and B, to not have that cookie cutter
Right.
feel.
Yes.
So we're very pleased with,
Yeah, you're creating a little community in there, which is kind of nice, and putting in the center and the outside of, the perimeter has got all the natives landscaping. Well, I'll make a proposal that we,
I just wanted to ask a question on that.
that's all right.
Is the exterior is gonna be pretty much the same as the exteriors that are existing on the adjacent properties?
I'm not exactly sure about that yet. We're still in dialogue with Barbara, and we didn't want to get too far down the road until we knew that our funding was coming
Yeah.
through, because that's going to make a difference as well. So we're not exactly sure. As you pointed out, Barbara may have a little bit more of an aesthetic that goes a little bit more modern. And some of the windows are under discussion. So we're not 100% firm yet on the exterior look, except that we want it to be fit into the landscape, be very durable, and be green.
And so the town is responsible for all the maintenance? Is that how it works?
Well, that's a great question. Yes, this is going to be a housing board town-owned development. So part of the rents would be stockpiled for that, the maintenance and work that's going to be necessary to keep this up over the decades. a maintenance company, a management company would be hired to handle all of the practicalities of vetting the applicants, collecting the money, evicting people, whatever needs to be
Right,
done. So
just
that
like
will
our
be
management
a,
team, yeah.
arm's length management company that will do that on behalf of the town.
Anybody else?
Good.
So I'll make a motion that we submit a favorable advisory for the Block Island Housing Board. For the following conditions that any trees that are removed are replaced with native 2-inch species. And that they do screen around the retention pond with the fencing and with native shrubbery if possible.
Fair enough?
And that's, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Appreciate
Very
it.
nice work. Okay, so, Dan elect the officers. Oh, approval of minutes. Okay. Make a motion?
Yeah, move to approve the minutes. No, I move to approve the minutes.
All right. I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No election of officers. It's gonna be a dictatorship.
Okay, Vladimir.
You will now all definitely move Mercedes Benz. Chairman for life. And I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Turn your mics off.
Thanks, Corey.
We all help